Oh, it's all right. It's only one finger. That's all right. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Troubled Times. This is a personal history of Ireland written by your man himself, Mr. Peter Sinclair. You've got the next line.
Yes, this story will be told in short scenes with music, verse and pictures. We'll introduce you to the actors and musicians later on. Is that okay, guys? What about you, lad?
Oh, I'll have 4 points of Guinness.
Not now, Michael.
Right. We start way back in 1845.
A man and his wife are digging for potatoes in a field next to their cottage.
This is a waste of time.
What's the matter, love?
Rotten. They're all rotten.
Ah, maybe it's just a few.
That's just wishful thinking. This is the fourth spot I've tried. It's the same everywhere.
It was potato blight.
The landlord said it would be gone this year.
There'd been a bit here and there for several years, but nothing like this.
Said we should have planted something else.
Michael, how are we going to feed the kids?
I said we should have planted something else.
You could hear the rising note of panic in her voice.
Michael, how are we going to feed the kids? Maybe the landlord will help us.
Ah, British bastard wouldn't give you the steam off his piss. Nothing left to sell, no work, can't hunt or fish on his land. Jesus.
Anyone caught would be transported to Van Diemen's Land, a harsh penal colony in what is now called Tasmania.
Between 30 and 50 shiploads of food were being exported every day, and the Irish were starving. Most of the landlords lived in England, so they didn't know what was happening as long as they made money.
They didn't care either. Maybe they hoped the Irish would starve to death.
Michael, what are we going to do?
Don't worry, love. There's an Englishman called Charles Trevelyan, ships out crops and food from the docks. Some of the lads have been watching, finding the guards' routine. We'll relieve him of enough of it to get us over the blood.
Jesus, Michael, you get us all home.
Don't worry, darling. Everything will be planned so. We won't take any chances.
Mary and Michael's landlord was an Englishman called Ashburn.
Chair? Now, look here. It is not my responsibility to feed this Irish riffraff. They should have managed their land better. Just make sure...
Smith, sir.
Yes, Smith, yes. Just make sure they aren't poaching on my land. Anyone caught, make an example of him. Put the fear of God up the rest. Understood?
Aye, sir, but...
Understood?
But, sir, it'll be hard on some of them who have children and can't feed them.
That's not my concern! Look, if you can't carry out my orders, I'll find someone who can.
I just said... You can depend on me, sir.
Good. I hear from a good source that some of the tenants are planning a raid on Trevelyan's warehouse.
Rosslare Dock, sir.
Yes. Well, they'll be in for a nasty surprise. One thing you can always rely on the Irish for, well, that's plenty of informers.
Well, I wouldn't know about that,
Yes.
sir. Nothing, sir. Sir, do we have to evict the tenants who are behind with the rents?
Well, of course, I'm not running a charity.
What if they refuse, sir?
Take a dozen strong, well-armed men. Burn them out if necessary. You have the law on your side. Do whatever is necessary.
Where do we send them?
Anywhere you like, as long as it's off my property.
There were workhouses at that time, but they were all full.
And the government had denied all responsibility for them.
They had literally no one to turn to.
It's not my concern, Smith. Just see them off. They're all rebels. Cut your own throat soon as look at you. Feel safe with them around. See them off, I say. Chair.
It was down by the glenside I met an old woman a-plucking young nettles. She ne'er saw me coming. I listened the while to the song she was humming. Glory, oh, to the bold Fenian. It's 50 long years since I saw the moon beaming on strong manly forms, on eyes with hope gleaming. I see them again, sure in all my days dreaming. Glory, oh, to the bold Fenian men. When I was a young girl, they're marching and drilling, awoke in the glenside, sounds autumn and thrilling. They loved dear old Ireland, and to die they were willing. Glory, oh, to the bold Fenian men. Some boy died by the glenside, some died near a stranger, and wise men have told us their cause was a failure. They fought for old Ireland and never feared danger. Glory, oh, to the bold Fenian men. I passed on the way, God be praised that I met her, be life long or short, sure I'll never forget her. We may have brave men, but we'll never have better. Glory, oh, to the bold Fenian men.
The lads have gathered outside the docks at Rosslare.
It's the night of the raid.
Michael, John, Joe, Paddy and Luke are outside Trevelyan's warehouse.
You lads keep watch until we call, yeah?
Right, Charlie.
Shh! What was that? Would you be quiet, you feckin' Egypt? It's only an cat or something. You're scared of your own shadow, you are.
Sorry, Michael. Look, Michael. There's the guard. Right.
Is the horse and cart well hidden?
Sure. I'll have a job finding myself.
At least your Irish sense of humour hasn't run away with you.
Nick, give us a break. I was only being careful.
Careful, won't feed the kids.
Sorry, Michael.
This is it now.
Come on, Michael. Sure, I can't see him only leaving one guard for a place his size.
We'd be looking around all night. It's nearly morning. It'd be nearly daylight if we wait any longer. It's now or never.
Okay, Michael. You're the boss. Hey, you! Is there anywhere around here man can lay his head?
Bugger off, Paddy.
Ah, sure, you know it's Irish. We'll even sleep with the pigs. We only object to sleep with the British.
I said bugger off, Paddy.
You mind your tongue, boyo! Or you'll wake up in the sea.
And with that, the guard draws out a big club and came after John Joe.
John Joe runs round the corner where Michael is hiding.
As the guard come past, Michael clouts him with a bloody great rock.
The guard drops to the ground like a sack of potatoes.
Jesus, Mick. I think you've killed him.
Nah. Sure, I only gave him a wee tickle with this rock.
They drag the guard out of sight.
And call Paddy and Luke.
Getting into the warehouse was easy.
Right, let's make this fast. When we're done, we hide out in McCarthy shed until tomorrow night, and then we make our own ways home. Yeah?
They filled the first sack and the other two guys were taking it to the car.
Suddenly there were soldiers everywhere.
They grabbed Michael, but John Joe panicked.
They ran for it, was shot in the back.
Christ!
Paddy and Luke were farther off. They saw what was happening, dropped the sack, and ran off empty-handed.
The sergeant turned his attention to Michael.
Right, Paddy.
It's Michael.
Yeah, whoever. Now then, make it easy on yourself. Give us the names of the two guys who ran away, and I might be persuaded to go easy on you.
We were on our own, the two of us were. There was nobody else.
Yeah, have it your way, Paddy.
They beat him savagely.
Right. Now then, Paddy. Has your memory improved at all?
My name is Michael, and no, my memory's not improved. In fact, it's getting worse.
The beating continued for nearly an hour until Michael keeled over, senseless.
Then they took him to prison.
Poor bastard.
The other two, Paddy and Luke, head out for days before they dare to go home. Empty-handed, of course.
And Michael's wife, Mary, didn't find out what happened for a fortnight.
Along the prison wall, I heard a young girl calling, Michael, they are sending you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so the young might see the morn. Prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Low lie the tree, left and right, where once we watched the small birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams of songs to sing. And slowly round the fields of Athenry, inside the prison wall, I heard a young man calling, nothing matters nearly when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they ran me down. You must raise our child with dignity. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the swampy birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams of songs to sing. It's only round the fields of
Kate, ain't we heard it a million times already?
Oh, come on, I like the old stories.
Between 1845 and 1913, more than 4 million Irish emigrated. Plenty went to America, risking their lives on boats where conditions were diabolical. The many that made it always had the notion of making their fortunes and returning to Ireland to live the life of the gentry. But most never saw their homeland again. This is Brooklyn, America, in the home of an Irish immigrant.
Come on, Grandpa.
Well, now, it was like a small piece of heaven, so it was. There was clear running water in the rivers, which were brimful of trout and salmon. Sure, a man could nearly dip his cap in and just scoop one out.
Tell us about the grass, Grandpa.
Well, now, in spring, you couldn't count the different shades of green in the grass and in the trees. And the butter from the cows was like the gold of your mother's hair. God rest her.
What was it called now? It's a funny old name.
Skibbereen. Oh, that's it, Skibbereen.
Jesus, I can't believe.
On a rainy day, when you looked down the valley, you could see the rainbow arching over the lake. Practically make you forget all about the pot of gold at the end there. And when the sun came out, the air was so sweet, it would make you leave your work and your chores and just laugh and maybe play music or play patty fingers with your lady. I tell you, darling, I'd like to be there right now.
Well, if it was that goddamn good, why the hell do you leave and come here?
Because heaven turned to hell, so it did. Heaven turned to hell. The potato crop failed, and there was nothing to eat. And then they started burning us out of our cottages. It was either starve or try our luck somewhere else.
Boy, I'd like to see Ireland someday, Grandpa.
Well, see, sure, I've never told you this before, but well, there's a whole lot of us sending money back home to support the rebels. And when we've gained our freedom, and if I'm spared, we'll be on the first boat back home.
Oh, that's great. That's just fine and dandy. Why don't the old buzzard spend it on us, huh? God knows we're down to our last nickel here, and he's sending dollars back to Ireland. That's it. I'm out of here.
Mikey, where you going?
Anywhere, as long as it's not freaking Skibbereen.
Oh, Father dear, I have time to hear you speak of Erin's Isle. Her lofty scenes, her valleys green, her mountains rude and wild. They say it is a lovely land, wherein a prince might dwell. Oh, why did you abandon her? The reason to me tell. Oh, son, I love my native land with energy and pride. Till a blight come over all my crops, my sheep and cattle died. My rent and taxes were too high, I could not them redeem, and that's the cruel reason I left old Skibbereen. Oh, well, I do remember that bleak December day. The landlord and the sheriff came to drive us all away. They set the roof on fire with their cursed English spleen, and that's another reason I left old Skibbereen. Your mother too, Lord rest her soul, lay on the snowy ground. She fainted in her anguish, seeing the desolation round. She never rose but passed away from life's too mortal dream, and found a quiet grave back there in dear old Skibbereen. And you were only 2 years old, and feeble was your frame. I could not leave you with my friends, for you bore your father's name. I wrapped you in my cottamore at dead of night unseen, and I heaved a sigh and said goodbye to dear old Skibbereen. Oh, Father dear, the day will come when vengeance to us call, and we will rise with Darren's boys and rally to the call. I'll be the man to lead the van beneath the flag of green, and loud and high we raise the cry, revenge for Skibbereen.
Organisations were formed among the Irish Americans to collect money to send home to the rebel forces. But after Ireland gained her freedom, that same money found its way into the hands of the IRA. Little did these Irish Yankees realise they were paying for terrorism and waging war on their own people back home.
If I may just give you one historical fact as background to what's about to come. In Henrietta Street, Dublin, in 1913, there was a row of just 15 filthy Georgian tenement houses, and inside them lived more than 800 people.
And those of you who are keeping up will have noticed that the next scene is back in Ireland. Yes, we do get around.
Give us 4 points again, as please.
Around, not around, Michael.
Not now, Michael.
But now the year is 1916, 100 years ago, and the place is Dublin, south of the River Liffey, in Clanbrassil Street.
Christy! 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 What the heck's it got to do with you, though?
It's got to do with all of us. It's for the country.
Today is Easter Monday.
Christy Morgan,
Yeah, what?
where are you going?
What's it to do with you?
And you, lad?
That's Jem. What's it got to do with you?
I'll go to the protest at the GPO.
Protest? Protest? Feck, have you got your head up your arse? The volunteers have taken over the post office. It's not a protest. Christ, it's a shooting war.
So?
You're 16, you idiot. Get away home now, while you can.
For your information, the lads think I'm 18, so they do, and I've been training with them for months now.
So that's why you've been at...
Training? Jeez. Training for what? How to stop a bullet with your chest?
Yeah, while you've been standing on the street corners, singing songs and cursing the British, I've been training with the lads.
Have you got a gun then, Christy?
Oh, well, not yet, but some of the other lads have.
God, will you listen to yourself? Feck, you've been brainwashed. Go home now, lads. Think of your mum. Think how she'd feel if yous go home before it's too late.
Today is Easter Monday.
Oh yeah, in years to come, they'll be singing songs about the likes of us, but they won't be singing any songs about the likes of you, no McCarthy.
Singing songs, is it? Jeez, do you know when they sing songs, boy? After they're dead. Yeah, for the ones that didn't come back. You can think me a coward or a failure or whatever you will. I hope you're as good as the Guinness at keeping your head. That's all.
Should we, yeah?
With our tape between our legs, yeah? Feck no, I'm with James Conley and the lads.
He was, you know...
Jesus, forget him, Jem. Full of wind and piss. You're still with us, aren't you? We've got to do it for the old country, come on.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Stupid wee bears. There's no telling. Jeez, I hope the lads have taken over the Guinness brewery as well, or our points will be fecked and to add insult to injury. Shite. Too young to drink, but young enough to kill. Good luck, boys.
So far, so good. The volunteers occupied the post office hoisted 2 Republican flags, and Commander-in-Chief Patrick Pearse read the proclamation of the Republic. In the name of God and of the dead generations, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag.
But of course it's never quite that simple. True, there was some misinformation placed by the British, but more importantly, orders were sent out and then changed, which resulted in some volunteers being in the wrong place. Then Pearse ordered copies of the proclamation to be posted throughout Dublin.
Right, give us the glue there, will you?
Glue? Nobody told me you had to bring any glue. Have you got any glue, lads?
No, Jesus, and me on the trousers. I had some last week. No.
Lads, have you got any glue up there?
4 pints of Guinness, please.
Oh, pints of Guinness.
Sorry, sir, nobody's got any glue.
Oh, shite.
Rebel forces took up positions at all the key points of Dublin City.
The Four Courts, centre of the Irish legal establishment. Boland's Mill and Jacob's Biscuit Factory.
The South Dublin Union Hospital.
And the distillery in Marrowbone Lane.
Okay.
Give us 4 pints of Guinness, will you?
The Easter Rising had begun.
Meanwhile, at the post office, our boys, Christy and Jem, were starting to think they were on the winning side.
Ah, no, Jem, I told you the lads are doing right, didn't I?
Sure, it's okay, Kristen. Hey, who's that fella going to speak over there?
No, Jem, that's your man James Connolly, the Republican leader. Hush now.
Hold your nerves now, lads. Remember what we're fighting for. The freedom of Ireland is in your hands. We may be outgunned and outnumbered, but we shall never be outfought. Let's show these Brits how a true Irishman fights. This is only the beginning. Those who come after us will hold our names up as a beacon in the fight for freedom.
Christy!
Hush now, Jem, let the man finish.
Christy!
As a
Look
beacon.
what's coming up the livery now, Christy. It's a fucking gunboat.
Jesus.
Look at the size of the bloody guns.
Another
Bastards! A fucking battleship! That's not fair!
The British naval patrol boat Helga, armed with 2 12-pound guns, starts a fierce bombardment of the post office, aided by heavy field guns set up and trained on the building by the British military.
Ironically, in 1923, the Helga was bought by, of all people, the Irish Naval Service and renamed Muraku, Hound of the Sea. She sank in 1947. But this is Ireland we're talking about, so you can still see the steering wheel in Keogh's pub.
The awful reality of their situation is brought home to the 2 young lads as they watch their comrades, the volunteers, getting blown to bits all around them. Christy Morgan, scared stiff and knowing well he's responsible for his own fate and that of his young friend Jem, is trying desperately to keep his resolve.
Jesus, Jem, I didn't think it'd be this bad. There's so many people dead.
What did you think? They throw down their guns and feck off when we showed up.
I'm just sorry. I'm really sorry I got you into this.
What are you doing, Christy?
I'm crying, you fackwit. I'm sorry I got you into this.
Look, you said that before. Let's face it, baby. We should both be at home in our beds. But since we aren't, we might as well make it count, eh? Sure, the worst we can do is die, yeah?
I'm sorry, Jem, I got scared.
Shut up, Christy! Keep your head down.
Forget where I was now.
At that moment, a bullet whistled past Jem's ear.
Jesus, Jem, that was too fucking close now. Jem?
Jem has been hit in the head, and the lifeblood is draining out of him.
Hang on, Jem, I'll get the medics for you.
I'm done, Christy. Say a prayer for me.
As Jem takes his last breath, Christy hears the sergeant's voice.
You man! Get over to the barricade! You can't do anything for him now! Quickly!
Christy Morgan gets safely behind the barricade. where almost straight away he and several others are killed by a falling shell. He dies a martyr, like many others that Easter Monday. The volunteers are subjected to a severe bombardment by heavy weaponry. They suffer massive losses, and the Dublin General Post Office building is practically demolished.
I don't know what I was thinking when I entered the GPO. The sergeant said, "Raise your gun and keep your head down low." The rifles, they began to crack and smoke it filled the air. I hurried to my position, God, I wished I wasn't there. A comrade fell down to my left, then one fell to my right. And before we knew it, we were all blown out of sight. And the Helga up the Liffey came, her guns were all ablaze. She sailed in through the fog and smoke, the GPO to raise. The shells, they came in thick and fast, before the smoke had cleared. 300 men were lying dead, Jesus, more than we had feared. At the early age of 16 years, I was looking at the dead. I was still a child in other lands, I'd be lying asleep in bed. Our leaders, they were captured and shot by firing squad. Their guilt was well established by foul means or by fraud. The rest of us were taken far away to prison camps, or to prisons made of concrete, mixed with cold and wrapped in damp. I suppose we should be grateful for our lives we never gave. We fared far better than our leaders lying in their graves. I know what I was thinking now when I entered the GPO. I'd strike a blow for freedom, or to heaven I would go. Little did I realise when I took my gun in hand, I'd be heading off to Hades and not the promised land. At the ripe old age of 16 years, your heart still ruled your head. You should never volunteer for war, or you'll likely end up dead. You should never volunteer for war, or you'll likely end up dead.
You see, the volunteers hadn't taken the railway station, so the Brits brought in troops and equipment by rail, including an armoured truck that they'd thrown together from a railway engine boiler on wheels, which looked like a giant metal tube of polo mints with holes in.
Polo mints always have holes in.
No, this thing had holes at the side to stick their rifles through, look.
Oh, yeah. Well, I suppose all the normal armoured stuff was away at the First World War.
Well, anyway, you'd expect with all the heroism and martyrdom that the whole country would be behind the volunteers. But that wasn't the case. It was all over pretty quickly, and loads of people just didn't know what was happening.
Many Irish people were bewildered, and there was some confrontation broke out. Here's some ladies hanging out their washing in a tenement building in North Dublin about a month after the rising.
What did you think of them bloody Aegis in the GPO, Dan?
Sure, they were a lot of God sharps, Mary. They were not allowed taking a pea shoot at the cannibal dance.
See, I don't understand what it was they hoped to gain from it. I mean, surely they didn't think all the British soldiers were off at the war. I mean, that's the real war, obviously, not this fecking playground here, if you pardon my French.
Do you know that they shot James Connolly while he was tied to a chair? The poor wee
Yeah,
bastard.
they say that he was bloody wounded. He couldn't stand up when he was even tied to a pole.
Would you not think they'd let him get better before they shot him?
No, seriously. I thought there was some sort of international law that you could only shoot people who were away.
I know. What I do know, though, is that you can't hang a man with a wooden leg.
Oh, is that so too?
Yeah, you have to use a rope like for every other bastard.
No, come on, seriously though. I thought they were brave what they did. At one point, my Seamus was thinking of going down to GPO to join the lads.
I can't say I blame him. Did he chicken out?
No. Although, look, if he had... No, he had his name down for some overtime and we need the extra bob.
My James is exactly the same. He had to help his Uncle John, you know, the one with the wooden head.
Sure, wasn't he the one with shares in a racehorse?
Yeah, it came in at 20-1 yesterday.
Jesus, you must be rolling in it by now.
Not really. All the other horses came in at 12:30.
I do pity all of them who died and all their families. I'd say a prayer for them tonight.
There's something I wanted to ask you now. You know your uncle? When he dies, your Uncle John, will he have to go around all eternity with a limp?
Would you have a feck off, Mary Maloney, and act your age? Look, girls, I'd better go and get my old man's dinner on, or I won't be getting none tonight.
Oh, you're right.
See you later.
Cheerio. The First World War, 1914 to 1918, was at least something that everybody was aware of.
There were people from all over the place. India, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, West Romania, Russia.
And of course, the Irish.
Yay!
One more pint to get us there.
This is an Irish recruit in an English prison in the Ukraine.
You, in there, go on. Company for you, Paddy.
How many more times? It's not Paddy!
Yes, I know what you mean. My name really is Patrick, but everybody calls me Farquhar for some reason.
Tony. That's my name. It's not very tricky at all.
Tony.
You haven't by any chance got a fag on you, have you, Patrick?
No, I'm sorry, I don't use them.
Isn't that just my fucking luck all over? It's
No,
just
no,
that...
no, sorry.
Well,
I was just
you
going
were going to ask what I was in here for, yeah?
That's exactly what I was going to ask, yes.
Well, it's my own stupidity, my friend. You know, the first thing I did that was stupid was to come over here to fight the Germans. I should have stayed in bed. Come on now, boys, I said, don't lag, follow the flag. So, like a mug, I joined the Irish Dragoons. We had some quick training and they sent us back to the Crimea. Jesus.
Yes, I heard. It's ghastly.
It was hell, friend. We were starved, wet, cold and tired in those bloody trenches. I got foot rot. It was the same thing every day, kill or be killed. I just got that sick of it. Wanted to go home.
I know what you mean.
I'm not a fucking soldier. I failed that at PDQ. I should have been a concert pianist or something.
Oh, do you play?
Not a fucking note, but I'd have learned fast enough. Yeah?
That's good, yeah. Look, sorry, why are you in here?
Well, friend, that was stupidity number 2. I noticed that the wounded fellas were being shipped home, so I took my pistol and shot myself in the arm.
God, really?
Now, if you're ever tempted to shoot yourself in the arm, don't. It hurts like feck. And of course, the sergeant comes round the revetting and saw me do it, so now I'm arrested for cowardice.
Oh, that's bloody bad luck.
The luck of the Irish, eh? I was court-martialed and sentenced to be home.
Oh, God.
I tell you, I wish I'd never left the farm. Some of my friends joined the volunteers in Dublin. At least they'll be buried at home. With me, it'll be an unmarked grave. And labelled a coward to boot.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry to ask this, but how long have you got?
This, friend, is my last one.
I woke up this morning to a clink at the door. The same clink I've heard many mornings before. Then a feeling set in that I hadn't much hope, for today being the day of the old hangman's road. I volunteered for war, but was too young to know. At 17 trained up and ready to go. On a ship bound for Ukraine and a place called Crimea, expected to get up and fight every day. The sergeant blew a whistle, sent us over the top, and as I charged forward, I saw my friends drown. I just kept on going though, feeling so sad. After seeing Tommy fall, he was just a wee lad. The fighting, we stopped them to bury the dead, and that's when I got the idea in my head. I'd fall down tomorrow, shoot myself in the arm, and then maybe they'd send me back home to my farm. I'd return a great hero, having fought in the war. They'd be singing my praises, that's what heroes are for. But the sergeant, he saw me and what I had done, and he led me to jail at the point of a gun. Tried and convicted, they locked me away, and that's where I find myself lying today. Getting ready to hang, and my fate it is sealed, for the cowardice I showed on the bleak battlefield.
Actually, that's a bit morbid to end the first act on.
Yeah, it is.
Lads, have you got any upbeat song to get us into the intro?
Now you're talking.
After the Easter Rising, about June 1920, Ireland entered a period of rebellion and civil unrest, the War of Independence. The police, the Royal Irish Constabulary, were regularly attacked by Irish rebels, and the RIC barracks frequently burnt to the ground, which became a nightmare for them. And they got pretty desperate.
This will show you how desperate. This is a Lieutenant Colonel Gerald Smythe addressing the RIC in Listowel.
Police and military will patrol the country roads at least 5 nights a week. They are not to confine themselves to the main roads, but make across country. Lie in ambush. Take cover behind fences near roads. When civilians are seen approaching, shout, hands up. Should the order not be obeyed, shoot. And shoot with effect. If the persons approaching carry their hands in their pockets or in any way suspicious looking, shoot them down.
It was not the time to be an Irishman with arthritis or a twitch, or to have a large bag of sherbet lemons in your pocket.
Now, you may occasionally make mistakes, but, well, that cannot be helped. You're bound to get the right person, sometimes. The more you shoot, the better I will like you. And I assure you that no policeman will get into trouble for shooting any man. And I can guarantee that your names will not be mentioned at the inquests.
Unbelievable.
Just shows what contempt your ordinary Irishman in the streets was held in.
It's not really surprising that Lieutenant Colonel Smythe was murdered a few weeks later.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we say farewell to the Royal Irish Constabulary, and we welcome our next contestants. Samantha.
Yes, let's give a big hand for the Royal Irish Constabulary Reserve Force.
Now, I'm afraid that's not the name I've got on my card here, Samantha.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Ricky. Otherwise known as the Black and Tans.
Yes, the dreaded Black and Tans. They got their name from their improvised uniforms, which were part army and part RIC. Unemployed ex-army men and convicts let out to wreak havoc on the Irish and to put down the rebellion by any means.
In the hands of Hollywood, the Black and Tans would have been a band of lovable rogues. But the truth wasn't like that at all.
Said the George to Macpherson, I give you the sight to obtain law and order. You don't know the night. I'll send over people, a much stronger man, and fill up there and die with the street they concert in spite of our threats. Never going to defeat. And why George Johnny's pets for Ireland and freedom. We're here to a man, and we'll humble the pride of the bell like a town.
Now the scene changes to an anonymous housing estate. A figure in the shadows knocks gently on a front door. There's no porch light put on, no exclamation of welcome. Instead, the door is quietly opened. The figure moves into the darkened hallway. The front door is closed and a heavy curtain pulled across it. The figure is shown past the door of the living room, where a TV soap opera can be heard, and into the kitchen. Only then do the men start talking.
You're coming? We're meeting at Glendalough at 8.
Have you heard where we're going yet?
Arms depot in Wicklow town. The cocky bastards are so confident they've only left 2 guards. They think the IRA are all in prison or dead.
How many men have we got?
10, including us.
That's enough to take down a whole British garrison. Regiment, anyway. Did Tim get a loan of the lorry?
Murphy didn't want to loan it us, but Tim sort of persuaded him. Let's just say he won't argue again in a hurry.
I never trusted that bastard.
Shall we go?
Yeah, sir.
Hugh grabbed his jacket, opened the lounge door a crack and told his wife he was off out. She knew better than to ask him where or when he would be back, or even if he would be back. The less she knew, the safer it was for her. That's how it was for an IRA wife.
While the pair of them were on the road, a bruised and resentful Murphy turns up at the Wicklow town barracks, where the desk sergeant pointedly ignores him.
I want to talk to the man in charge.
What do you want, Paddy?
I want to talk to the man that's in charge.
You don't come in here making demands. Now tell me what you want, or piss off before I put you in jail. Got it?
I have information, and I want to speak somewhere in private.
Information? Oh. Well, why didn't you tell me before?
The sergeant takes Murphy into a back office and fetches a superior officer.
All right, Sunshine, what's this information you have then?
Anna, not so fast, sir. I need a few things first. The information I have, it's worth a few bob, and some assurances for me, for starters. Sure, I'm only asking for 10 quid for the information I have.
It's a lot of money. What's the matter with me just beating it out of you?
Well, if you beat it out of me, you wouldn't be sure if the information was correct, and I wouldn't tell you any more in future. What I know is worth a lot more than 10 quid, but I'll just settle for that now.
All right. You said there was something you need, Paddy. What's that?
The IRA are using me truck. Against me will, of course, and I want it back, undamaged.
All right, Paddy. If it's at all possible, we'll try not to damage it. To damage it. Now, Paddy, I want those details.
Right, let's go through it one last time, yeah?
Right.
Byrne, you will cut the telephone wires. First, okay?
Right.
They're talking about the raid on the Wicklow Arms Depot.
I want all of you except Tim to stand by until Malone gets the door opened. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Tim, you'll wait by the lorry up the lane.
Right.
Malone is dressed in the stolen uniform of a lieutenant in the British Army.
Only one guard will come to the door, and you others will deal with him. Malone will go into the building. The second guard will be confused long enough for you to deal with him too, yeah?
Sorry.
Tim, you stand by and wait for the signal.
Right, sir.
Okay? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. So,
The raid goes like clockwork. The whole thing takes no more than 10 minutes, including loading the rifles and ammunition into the lorry. Tim makes a final check that nothing is out of place, while Malone changes out of the army uniform and disposes of it. If he's caught wearing it, he'll be classed as a spy and summarily shot. The building looks exactly as it did before they arrived, and the lorry moves off towards the Wicklow Mountains.
The lieutenant sits up front with Tim driving and the lads are in the back. Usually after a successful raid, the lads would be animated and vocal, but tonight, for some reason nobody knows, hardly a word is spoken until, that is, they reach a lonely spot on the Enniskerry Road. It was a British Army officer in the middle of the road waving them down.
I think we can remember, lads.
How many of them are there?
That's just the one at the moment, but you can bet there's another 20 or so behind the
I
hedges.
wonder how they knew you were going to be here.
Fucking Murphy. Need you ask?
Yeah, of course. We have no option but to surrender, lads. Got a white hanky or something, Tim?
The British officer, his pistol still trained on them, beckons to them to leave the lorry, and they do so. Tim holding a white hanky aloft, and the IRA lieutenant with his hands up. And at the same time, the men in the back of the lorry jump down from the tailboard. As the last man hits the ground, the bushes at each side of the road part to reveal 20 armed men. Their black coats and tan trousers are instantly recognisable. In silence, they line the IRA lads up alongside a ditch before one of them, at last, speaks.
Well, it's not your lucky day, is it, boss?
Fuck you, you lucky bastards!
The black and tans shot each and every one of them. The IRA were left mostly in the ditch where they'd fallen. The rifles and ammunition were put back in the Wicklow depot, and the number of guards increased to 3.
And with the exception of a small scratch due to a rifle that slipped during offloading, Murphy's truck was completely unscathed.
Irish history is riddled with informers, which led to the undoing of many an Irishman. Informers were particularly active at high points in the struggle for independence. It was nothing new. They dogged the 1798 Rising and Emmet's Rebellion in 1803.
I sit at the back of every room. I listen and listen, but never assume. I sell on your secrets, they all have a price. I ruin the plans of both men and mice. So look all around and talk if you dare. But look in the corner, make sure I'm not there. I sit on the shoulder of my best friend, taking the secrets as my ideal men. They call me informer and cagey the sneak, a seller of secrets, and I'll make you weak. For Ireland's downfall, I'll take no blame. A seller of secrets without any shame. I can send him to jail or off to his death for a few lousy shillings or a price that I've set. So keep all your secrets so close at heart. If your tongue is loose, I'll be paid for my art. They call me informer and cagey a sneak, a seller of secrets, and I'll make you weak. For Ireland's downfall, I will take no blame, a seller of secrets without any shame. I never suspected I got out of jail. It's all in my head now, I've no use for a pen. I think about no one, I have no decree. I don't have a conscience, it's all about me. They call me informer and cagey a sneak, a seller of secrets, and I'll make you weak. For Ireland's downfall, I will take no blame, a seller of secrets without any shame, a seller of secrets without any shame.
Irish history then, I'm afraid, degenerated into a bloody numbers game. In London, jazz was the latest craze, and dancing the Charleston and the Black Bottom, while in Chicago, the start of Prohibition and the rise of mobsters like Al Capone.
But meanwhile in Ireland, up to late 1920, about 300 people had been killed. Then came Bloody Sunday, the 21st of November, not to be confused with the second Bloody Sunday in 1972.
The RIC opened fire at a football match in the afternoon, killing 14 civilians and wounding 65. This in turn was in retaliation for the killing of 14 British intelligence agents in Dublin by the IRA that morning. And a week later, the IRA ambushed a group of black and tans at the aptly named Kilmichael in County Cork and killed 17 of them.
Martial law was declared in most of Southern Ireland, not that it made any difference, and the centre of Cork City was burnt out by British forces, and the year was not yet over. During the next 6 months, over 4,000 Republicans were interned and over 1,000 killed. Most of the fighting centred on Dublin, Cork and Belfast. And in 1921, the Anglo-Irish Treaty, negotiated for the most part by Michael Collins, gave rise to an arrangement called the Irish Free State.
This was an uncomfortable birth, and it started the split between the bulk of Ireland and the 6 counties we now know as Northern Ireland. This controversy has caused resentment and strong feelings which linger even to the present day, and it led to the Irish Civil War, June 1922 until May 1923, during which, in August 1922, Ireland lost one of its finest sons, Michael Collins, leader of the revolution. He was ambushed in a little village called Bailnablaw in his native Cork.
Many people believe that the killing was arranged by Eamon de Valera, the founder of Fianna Fáil, who later on became Taoiseach and president.
You always thought he was an unlucky bugger.
I know, who would that be?
That Michael Collins.
Why would that be now, Paddy?
Was it because he was ambushed and shot?
No, he did all that good stuff, like, but it was his brother, Tom, who got the cocktail named after.
Cold young man in ambush lay, roadside by a hill where flowers grow. Some right and who was wrong. Though 1,000 years may pass, we'll never know. Candles dripping below, they place beside the shoulder. Rosary beams like teardrops on your finger. Friends and comrades standing by, in their grief they wonder why, like in their hour of need, you had to go. And when the evening twilight came, gently fell the autumn rain. Oh, but you lay still and silent on the ground as we hungered in our sorrow and despair. We wondered, was it friend or foe who shut you down? Candles dripping blood, they place beside your shoulder. Rosary beams like teardrops on your finger. Friends and comrades standing by, in their grief they wonder why, Michael, in their hour of need, you had to go. Now the flame is fueled high, and call out to the sky to end this senseless killing and the shame has now passed to other lands and is carried through the land by some not even fit to speak your name. And in blood they place beside your shoulder. Rosary beams like teardrops on your finger. Friends and comrades standing by, in their grief they wonder why, Michael, in their hour of need, you had to go. Michael, in their hour of need, why did you go?
Would you believe it? The next 30 years or so were relatively quiet in Ireland, but only partly because there was a little conflict going on elsewhere.
You may have heard of it. It was called World War II.
Sean, where are you off to in your Sunday best then, Sean? It's usually the priest or the in-laws when you dress up like that.
I didn't want to tell you, because it always starts an argument. Sure. I'm not to fight for the Allies. We don't want that Mr. Hitler taking over the country now, do we?
They weren't called the Fighting Irish for nothing.
You're off to join the Brits!
The British Army, yeah.
You're a bleeding traitor with a short memory, you are.
Look, I can't get a job. I've got to get some money, somehow. Anyway, besides the war with the Brits is all over. We're on the same side now.
I think what he meant was that the conflict was temporarily suspended while we all go and beat the shit out of someone else for a change.
And me bollocks. I'd rather go and fight for the Germans. At least their uniform's better looking.
Sure, you're an awful idiot, Jem Sullivan. Hey, besides, think of all them French women with their husbands away.
Well, now, I don't think you'll be getting any of that. Have you not heard of the French resistance? Good luck and God bless you, boy. Keep on safe, son.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we.
During and after the war, say 1940 to 1970, more than 100,000 Irishmen left and went abroad, which was strange because Dublin in the 50s, 60s and 70s was a great place to live. The people didn't have much, but they seemed to look after each other better than they do now.
It might be the old rose-tinted glasses now, but after the war years, the place seemed to be fun and full of real characters.
There was an old tramp called Bang Bang, who used to like jumping on and off the buses, always pissed obviously. And he had this old brass key he used to pretend to shoot people with.
Yeah, and Johnny Fortycoats, another tramp who wore several coats to keep him out the cold.
Any other country would lock up its loonies, but not Ireland. They cherish their characters. Come on now, Peter. Nice poem for us.
I was walking down by Francis Street and a thought came to my head. Don't you remember Bang Bang when all of us are dead? He and all his cohorts are woven in our past. The past of all, a piece of all our histories, that influence is vast. So I thought I'd write a little rhyme, maybe turn it into song, so he will be remembered when we are dead and gone. 40 coats and all his pals used to gather in the crowd, begging and cajoling it to make your heart feel proud. Spared a penny for a drink, one would ask in dulcet tones. Most of them big drinkers, with the left into their bones. There's enough there for a bottle, one would say with glee. Then it was down to the corner shop with Bang Bang and his key. It was down below at Bridford Street where the bakery they would meet. That ragged gang of ragged men with bags around their feet. Then Hardy Lemon and Hardy Yank would wander into town, followed by the bossman, the man about town. His name was Johnny Fortycoats. It was he who led a pack. First he'd lead them into town, then he'd lead them back. I may have forgotten one or two, a deed you must forgive. I do remember Shell Shock Joe, or Fright to You would give. But Bang Bang was my favourite. Yes, he and I got on. As he jumped the bus's platform, gripping his brass gun, and he shot his way from place to place, the bus is saving his feet. I hope God speeds him on his way. He was ready for him to meet.
Tell me mind it is clear, heart full of cheer, tear in the eyes of Fulham. I'm catching your train, taking me home again at 2 a.m. heading for Dublin. It was in '63,
now, ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present a sketch entitled The 1990s.
I say, who was that lady I saw you with last night?
That was no lady. That was the love of my life. I say. Don't tell me, let me guess. Is she a Shankill Red stunner? No, sirree. She's a bogside bombshell. I say. Don't tell me, let me guess. Is she a Shankill Red stunner? No, sir. I said she's a bogside bombshell.
Sure, I hope you're joking.
Tell me she's not a papist.
Well, no, it doesn't matter anymore. We're at peace now.
We're not at peace, but we're not friends. You'll get crucified if anyone finds out. Don't parents know?
Well, no, not yet. One of her brothers found out, and he's been a bit awkward. We just kind of avoid him.
Why the feck did you pick a papist? There's plenty of lookers amongst our own.
Didn't ask for it to happen. It just kind of, well, it sort of it did.
Oh, bless.
You're no help, you two. Don't you know you'll be in trouble from them hardliners? If them papist boys find out, you'll get kneecapped.
I don't know. What can I say?
Can we meet her?
Yeah, she must be something for you to take the chances that you do, Anna.
Yeah, go on.
Ah, you see, you boggers. You wouldn't have wanted to do that a few years ago. You see, things are beginning to change.
We'll get together for a drink, eh?
Yeah. Next week, okay?
Yeah, I'd like that. And you like Mary as well. But
Yeah?
we don't talk about religion or politics.
Fair dues.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See yous.
We grew up great friends despite the divide. A Protestant boy and a girl from Buckside. Our friends they all frowned and they said it's no good. It will never work cause there's too much bad blood. We never took notice and never much cared. We never discussed it and we never dared. For our love it was strong and we both had our faith. And we never listened to bigotry's bait. Oh, my Mary was smart, with a head of red hair, and none of the beauty a young man could bear. For she touched my heart from the moment we met. To marry that girl, well, my heart it was set. Oh, I felt so lucky with her on me heart. Lucky enough that we'd come to no harm. But her big brother Sean, well, he had other thoughts. It was people like me that he'd always fought. A terrible plan he hatched in his head, a terrible plan that would see myself dead. An ambush he laid as we walked hand in hand, but the ambush did not go the way that he planned. A shot it rang out, but his aim it was bad, and it drained my girl Mary of the life that she had. He just stood there looking with his gun by his side. He had nowhere to run and he'd nowhere to hide. Revenge was all I could think. Revenge, as quick as a blink. I took up the gun and I took careful aim. What stopped me shooting was his look of shame. The sadness and shame would stay in his head. I followed him around till the day was dead. And we both of us realised that the hatred and strife had deprived us both of a sister and wife.
Regrettably, of course, sectarian violence hadn't really gone away, and between 1963 and 1998 about 3,500 people died as a result. But then came the turning point.
August 1998 it was, a hot day. This photo was taken by a tourist just before the explosion. The bomb is in that red car. 29 innocent people died in a crowded shopping centre in Omagh, County Tyrone. And at last the paramilitaries from both sides lost all support and the troubles started to come to an end.
The vast majority began to realise that the ones still operating were motivated more by making money than idealism.
Many people believe that those 29 innocents were were the real heroes of the Troubles. May they rest in peace.
Amen.
As down the glen one Easter morn, through a city fair rode I. Their armoured lines of marching men in squadrons passed me by. No fifes did hum, nor battle drum did sound their loud tattoo. But the Angelus bells o'er the Liffey swell rang out through the foggy dew. Oh, brightly high over Dublin town they hung out the flags of war. It was better to die neath an Irish sky than at Suvler or Sudalpan. And from the plains of Royal Mead strong men came hurrying through, while Britannia's Huns with her long-range guns sailed in through the foggy dew. Was Britannia bade their wild geese go, so small nations might be free? But their lonely graves are by silverless waves, or the shores of the great North Sea. And had they died by Pierce's side, or fought with cattle brew, then their names we would keep where the Fenians sleep, neath the shroud of the foggy dew. Well, the bravest fell, and the requiem bell rang mournfully and clear, for those who died at Easter tide, at the springing of the year. And the world, it gazed in deep amaze at those fearless men but few, who fought and died so that freedom's light would shine through the foggy dew.
Has anyone here heard of the Celtic Tiger?
It's not a football team.
Trust the Irish to give a fancy name to a bloody disaster.
In 1995, the Irish Republic were raking in the money. There was plenty of work, and the banks were practically forcing you to take loans.
Here's Kate and Agnes at shopping.
Oi! It's you.
What do I know?
Jesus, Agnes, where did you get all those credit cards from?
Well, sure, since we bought our house off the corpo.
That's the corporation, equivalent to an English city council.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, since we bought our house off the corpo, we get as much credit as we want. We only paid 100 grand for it. It's already worth 250. The bank manager reckons it's making £1 a week, so we can borrow off the equity.
Would you ever get over yourself, Agnes? What's equity?
Feck knows. But it's worth a fortune, so he says. All I know is I'm getting every credit card I want, and if the payment gets too much, I just twinkle me tits at the friendly bank manager. And he increases it a bit, it makes me mortgage bigger. It's money for old Roe.
Jesus, I'll never be up to you. Do you think Joe and I could get a mortgage?
Well, he's the bin man with the corpo, isn't he?
Yes, and be made permanent, Neil.
Oh, well, sure, it'll be no problem. You could probably get 110% mortgage, and that'll give yourselves enough for a decent car or a holiday too. That's what Jim and I did.
Sure, and I thought you'd won the lotto and not told anyone.
Sure, I might as well have done so.
Yeah, but what happens when you have to pay it back?
Oh, well, sure, that's the beauty of it. The house pays for it. Just don't ask me how. It's all double Dutch to me.
Maybe the house asks the friendly bank manager.
Come on, I'll buy you lunch at Bewley's and you can treat me when you get your mortgage.
I will in the arse, and I'll let the house treat you.
Yes. Unfortunately, prosperity during the Celtic Tiger period also extended to the underworld.
And there were major turf wars over who controlled the flow of drugs.
Rows that had previously been settled with fisticuffs now involved guns. Cars were regularly blown up and murders became an everyday thing. Religion and good neighbourliness were forgotten and Dublin became a very violent city.
This is Bob. Bob is a drug user who, like most drug users, has got into debt. The dealer he's indebted to has given him a gun, a short course on how to fire it, and some wraps, small parcels of drugs to be sold for €20 each in the park.
For a time, all goes according to plan. All the users know where the pusher stands. It's slightly concealed, but with a good view of approaching users or police.
Then, trouble. The Smiths arrive mob-handed. And according to the law of this particular jungle, the park is their turf, their manor. Now, Bob has been told that if he totes the gun at them, they will back off. But they don't. Instead, they surround him and start pointing out a few home truths about dealing on someone else's turf.
Bob is fearful and panicking, swinging the gun around wildly. And then one of the Smiths calls him an Egypt. And doesn't he know the safety catch is still on? When Bob looks down at it, he feels a heavy blow to the back of his head and drops to the ground. The gang pull his body out of sight and steal the money, the drugs, and the gun. Some hours later, a black Labrador finds the body, and the dog's owner alerts the authorities. Bob is taken to hospital, but never regains consciousness. Another victim of the Dublin drugs trade.
Bob was just 14 when he died.
A dark cloud fell over the streets of the town, started a plague that brought families down. It was a great scourge that spread through the place. It touched everyone everywhere, no matter what race. It started late 70s, a spliff here and there. It was all just for fun. It was smoked everywhere. Then speed kept you dancing and going all night, and the odd line of coke kept the people just great. Its name is heroin, speed, skunk or rave. The name doesn't matter, it'll show you the grave. It sneaks up behind you, gets into your head, and as often as not, you finish up dead. The heroin you thought you'd try for the high wasn't long till you're injecting it into your thigh. Of course you're not hooked as you lay in your pits. Then nothing else matters except your next hit. Your parents disown you, they've had enough. And now you've no home and you're starting living rough. You spend your life stealing or maybe turning tricks, doing anything you can to get your next fix. Its name is heroin, speed, skunk or rave. The name doesn't matter, it'll show you the grave. Sneaks up behind you, gets into your head, and often as not you'll end up dead. You beg, steal or borrow to get what you can. Your clothes are just rags, you're a shell of a man. You'd sell your own mother for the price of a fix. Your pride is all gone and your brain's turned to mush. You live in a squat saying life isn't fair, and it's then that you realise you put yourself there. Its name is heroin, speed, skunk or rave. The name doesn't matter, it'll show you the grave. It sneaks up behind you, gets into your head, and as often as not, you finish up dead.
Thanks, Peter. Well, that was the Celtic Tiger. And you can guess what happened next.
Because it happened over here as well.
The Celtic Tiger buggered off back to the forest, or wherever tigers live.
Leaving a nation with tremendous debts, which are still being paid off today and in the future.
On the bright side, England is generally a much friendlier place for the Irish to live, and transport is good. You can get back to Ireland in an hour.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half waiting at the fucking airport.
Yes, yes. And there's an abundance of pubs and clubs where you can hear traditional music and song, like the one these guys play at every Friday.
Now, here's a little test. You ask any second or third generation Irishman in London, where do you live? Fellas?
Kilburn.
But where's your home?
Ireland.
Yeah.
And although the troubles as such in the north of Ireland have settled down, along with the problems of the economic situation, there's still the niggling feeling that something small could light the fuse again. This bit of script was written on a random day towards the end of last year, and there it was in the Irish headlines.
A 43-year-old man has been arrested as part of ongoing targeting of dissident Republican activity in the border region.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Ireland's great history is recorded in song. Singing these songs, sure we'll all sing along. We pay no attention to the message they give. They don't impact on the lives that we live. But most tell stories of the troubles we've had. When we were ruled by Britannia so bad, atrocities done, and both sides it's true, that stick in the minds of both me and you. Let bygones be bygones and let us forget. We suffered on both sides and both sides regret. The damage repaired, now we can all upheld. Kick out the prejudice once and for all. Politicians and gangsters, out who are cruel, use people's religion just like a tool. They'll never let us let go of the past, keeping the bigotry alive to last. It's up to us, lot, to make it alright. By giving the hatred our greatest of fights, by love we should live, and by love alone. It's the only way that we'll ever atone. Let bygones be bygones and let us forget. We suffered on both sides and both sides regret. The damage repaired, now we can all uphold. Kick out the prejudice once and for all. We could have a land that is envied by all, where against bigotry both our people stand tall, where hatred and blame they will have no place, no matter religion or colour or race. I'll make a start on this very day. I'll try and make my hatred go far, far away. And if you follow suit, then we have just cast a mould that would make Ireland whole and last. Let bygones be bygones and let us forget. We suffered on both sides and both sides regret. The damage repaired, now we can all atone. Kick out the prejudice once and for all. And kick out the prejudice once and for all.
Yes, that item I read you before the song was in the news headlines in Ireland late last November. But the rest of the headlines that day, they could have been from anywhere. Listen to these.
One of the trendy coffee shops in Dublin was offering water tasting. Yes, folks, for a mere €3.50, you could sample 4 shots of water and imagine how the taste would affect your coffee. Or just possibly wonder if someone somewhere isn't taking the piss.
Nobody's eating, are they? There's a man who for months on end stored his bodily waste, yes, that's right, his wee and his poo, in boxes, bottles and bags in his flat in Cork, causing €1,500 worth of work to make it habitable again. He was jailed for a year. Yuck.
And you know those hoverboards? Like a little pair of platforms with motors attached that you stand on, if you're stupid enough. Well, the authorities stopped 1,500 of them coming into the country because of significant safety concerns. No sense of humour, those guys.
This one's my personal favourite. Parents and school staff got together and stopped a McDonald's being opened near 3 schools in County Wicklow.
Yes!
A Fine Gael man who wants to change the abortion laws in Ireland and the Prime Minister, or Taoiseach himself, they both called it a complex and sensitive issue. No bloody kidding.
And apologies to any teachers here, but apparently, despite the country's austerity programme, Irish teachers are amongst the best paid in the world. Sorry.
This one sounds like England. The leader of a campaign to cut Northern Ireland's corporation tax was arrested. They think he's been fiddling his taxes.
And did you hear about the farmer who dyed his bullocks black?
What? Got that right?
Yes, that's what it says on the script.
Okay.
A farmer from Ennis in County Clare coloured in all the brown bits of his championship bullocks in order to win the All-Ireland title. He said, all it took was a little creativity and some black dye and I won! Ha! Jesus!
And after all the troubles that we've been hearing about, Black Friday has recently been added to the Irish calendar, but luckily it's just a retail promotion idea from the US.
A Dublin man has been jailed for a year after staging a car crash with his wife. And this is classic, pretending that they didn't know each other.
Don't tell me your name, Mrs. Pike. And then there's the trade union Unite. They've just found out that the management of the central bank have been running a second secret bonus scheme for 4 years. What you bastards.
The Republic of Ireland women's football team were beaten 2-0 by Spain, so it doesn't look like they'll be in the running for Euro 2017.
But this is the headline we like the best. This happened during the men's football match in the Aviva Stadium near Dublin. Only this time the Republic of Ireland beat Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 and qualified for Euro 2016.
In amongst all this seething mass of humanity, one poor Irish fan lost his wedding ring, and he was distraught because it had belonged to his late father. He was so desperate he sent out a message on Twitter, and would you believe, another Irish fan amongst all those people, 51,700 of them, found it and gave it back to him. What a country.
Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen, a snapshot of Ireland.
Doesn't sound too bad, does it?
No worse than anywhere else.
So what do we do now then?
Oh, keep an eye out for those who want to cause trouble.
Laugh at the bigots.
Enjoy the peace.
And most importantly, all of us, wherever we're from,
Get together and
Enjoy the crack!